Hello internet friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Lindsay or LiJo, and today we're going to be speaking on introverted intuition and the driving force behind it as it relates to the missing information game. If you'd like to talk to me more about this subject, you can book a video session with me below on my link to Snug. So here we go. So question, have your lights ever gone out in your house at night? Maybe you know that there's a flashlight at the other side of the room, but in order to get there, well, you have to navigate your room in complete darkness. What if you were teleported to a dark room? A typical room, but not one you've ever been in before. Would you be able to find where the doorway is? It's this feeling in your body. It's not an emotion, but it's this inner feeling of knowing where things should be, even if you've never been there before. It's knowing how you should be able to navigate things, even if you've never navigated those things before in those particular conditions, even if you don't even know what those things are. So for those of us who have introverted intuition as a savior function, that's in the first position, well, NI can often be this driving force that sends us through what appears to be this void of darkness, a seemingly dark maze in search of something. And as an NI user, this is something that's happening as a background process the majority of the time. These little data points are being matched. You're connecting certain dots. You're drawing lines together. You're forming patterns of connection until they all point to the place of connection that there's a missing dot. All of a sudden, I realize I've started to build a web of these interconnected points, but there's something missing here. And by golly, I'm going to find it. When we're connecting an NI pattern, often what brings it to the front of our mind is the fact that we found that there's missing information. There's a piece of it that hasn't been attended to, the piece of info that is not there. And well, that's what's stopping this whole beautiful web from being held together as one. So of course, well, that is our mission, is to find that single item. It can be more than one, but it's generally a very small category of numbers. And while it may seem to the world like we're navigating in the dark, what we're really doing is we're navigating a field of intuitive context. It's often not knowing what you're searching for in a literal sense. I'm not searching for an actual doorknob, an actual flashlight, but rather I'm being guided by this context of familiarity within a particular category. And listen, as an NT user in particular, in contrast to my INFJ brothers and sisters, if I have solved something to 98% of satisfaction, but there's 2% missing, well, I will get on a manic level of solving, of trying to find, like you've never seen it before. It knows no bounds. So what's the end result? Is it simply turning on the flashlight? Well, metaphorically, maybe. Because you see, NI is searching to create the full picture, to have all of the pieces in the puzzle connected as one. And sometimes that connection, well, it is something that isn't even literal. So it may not produce a literal thing. It may not produce a literal item of any sort, but rather just a universal understanding now of maybe a particular situation, a particular context. Now that context is fully painted, it's holistic, it's full, it's whole. But that often requires that piece of missing information in order to accomplish that wholeness, to accomplish that fullness. And how does this make sense within our cognitive function stack as a whole? Well, because we have extroverted sensing, SE last, it means that we're inherently bypassing a lot of real life, literal information. We cognitively prioritize mirrored concepts and patterns and are not relying on literals or sensory instructionals to get us through the day. And while that does serve us in a variety of areas, where it doesn't serve us is the fact that we do look past a lot of real life stuff all of the time. And then at some point, you're going to realize that, hey, I may have conceptually formed this whole piece of something that is significant, or I've deemed it to be significant, but there is something that is missing. And well, not always, but often relates back to something in the sensory that we've simply skipped over. So why do I share this with you? Well, if you are close to an NI user, this may make a little bit more sense of their behavior. they're playing a missing information game. The whole archetype of the mastermind in the basement trying to put together their master plan of what it's all in their head, and they are struggling to find probably a piece of missing information, and that's why they're looking so crazy down there, because they're trying to make the whole thing it's almost there. Just don't interrupt me until it is. If you really want to piss off the NI user as they're looking for their missing information to solve their whole thing in their head, just tell them something like, you're probably looking right at it. Just see how that plays out. And if you're an NI user yourself, know that this is your lizard brain and your default programming at play. If you find yourself in these holes too often, well, it might be a good time to just check in with reality. Go outside, take a walk, call a friend who's working on a project, listen to what they have going on, find a dog to pet. The simple things that allow you to engage in the sensory. And you know what? At the end of the day, the fact that you have missing information in the first place is likely a result of you bypassing so many of these sensory things because you're not doing them. You're doing the NI the majority of the time. So if you want to prevent this problem from happening more in the future, which if you are an NI user, you do want to prevent it because you don't want chaos to be sneaking up behind your back, causing you to go crazy, having to look for the chaos of where it could possibly be hiding. So if you want to prevent that, which I know that you do, well then go outside. Take a break. Enjoy some sensory. And take a little escape from the vortex, which is your own mind, having you search for the things that your brain tells you are so real and that you can't live without. So that's it for this video. I hope it helps you to understand NI and its driving force a little bit better. And to be real with you, yeah, this is a chronic motivator of my behavior many times, is searching for the missing information when things are getting close to being solved, when things are being close to coming together. Easier to say than it is easier to do. So for this video, I will see you guys in my next one. Goodbye, internet friends.